All right. I do got a question for everybody here. Have you ever been late for work?
To work, who gets a fuck? It's your life, bitch.
So much to break down right here. The
boss,
crowd is.
I'm late. What you gonna be doing about it? I said I'm late.
This is some anarcho-communist Andrew WK.
Where is he? By the way, Andrew WK, I have something to bring up with him now that you mentioned that. Holy crap, bitch. What's the news that came out with Andrew WK?
Late.
Where is he, by the way?
Is that Chicago, maybe? I don't know.
Who gets
It's like it could be Chicago.
I'm just. Give me a second. Let's all take some time to just collect ourselves.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
for roping? I like that. You're a jabroni.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday night. It's What the Show. We are broadcasting from somewhere within the deep recesses of Mike Deacon's algorithm. My name is AJ Lancaster. I'm one of your co-hosts.
And as aforementioned, I'm Mike Deacon. We are hoping to be joined by Bethany and Juice tonight. We don't know if we're going to see either of them. But hopefully, fingers crossed, they will make it before the end of the stream. But yeah, tonight's going to be a fun night. As you can see, we have a wonderful guest with us tonight, the one and only JTE.
Double salute. What's going on, guys? What a crazy opening. Mighty Ducks 2. You got the stereotypical cowboy guy who somehow learned how to put on skates. I'm not sure what the rest of those clips were, but I like the music.
So
yes.
Juice's music, by the way.
Juice made that.
Nice.
It's all a Juice project, but my favorite part is the Garth Brooks broadcasting live to Facebook for the first time.
I like
Have you ever
that.
seen this clip? Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
is that him?
Seek that out. It's very
All
worth
right,
watching.
I will.
And the very first thing you hear is Brother Lomas when he informed us about Wallace Shawn's demise for the first time.
Well, that'll definitely be the first time I ever Google Garth. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Garth Brooks Facebook.
We're all big. We're huge Mighty Ducks fans here. Dwayne Robertson, the cowboy from Austin, which we have so many questions, but like I don't know if I want the answers. You know?
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed the first season of that show, and then Emilio didn't come back.
Right.
Season 2 wasn't bad, but once you lost Emilio, man, what are you doing?
Season, the one kid, Nick, the pod crew wound up becoming the broadcaster, carried the second season on his shoulders. But
really,
bro, Rich Eisen and Nick, like that was the best.
That was fantastic at the end. I'm disappointed it's not going to get a resolution, but I guess they kind of ended it where they could end it. You know, it wasn't a terrible ending, but it could have went on. Seeing those movies back in the day and then having that come back, you know, what was it, 30 years, almost 30 years later from the original? I guess it was like 25 when they filmed it. It's such a nice little touch there. So I think this year, if I'm not mistaken, is the 30th anniversary of the team. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks, I believe it's 30 years for them, which is crazy.
Oh, wow. I don't know if you saw, but Snoop Dogg has a movie coming out on Amazon Prime called The Underdogs, which is basically a remake of the Mighty Ducks. Because it's literally the same situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mike, we're doing a watch long.
Yeah, that sounds like a total watch along kind of movie right there. 100%. Before we go off the rails, which is already happening, but JTE, why don't you? We always like to let our guests promote what they have going on right off the bat, so we make sure we don't forget to do it. So let's get that.
Yeah, pretty easy. You can follow me on Twitter at JTE Movie Thinks. But the main thing I would plug is our podcast with Benny Lomas and our boy Moose Haas. It's called the Extra Movie Butter Podcast. We do it every week. We review films. We kind of talk about a subject around whatever our main review is. Right now we're doing a lot of double reviews because it's just we're in like all the movies like literally are bunched up and they all decide to come out within like a month and a half. It's kind of crazy. I wish they would have spread them out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Extra Movie Butter Podcast you can find on Spotify, iTunes, and we try to have some guests on there. But it's just us three guys talking about our opinions on movies and anything else that pops in our brains.
But I actually have 2 questions about it because I listen to it on my commute a lot. The first one, where do you find the old movie clips? Because I love the old movie, like I love the commercial clips.
I just find them on YouTube, man. Like I try to, put them, whatever the movie is, I try to find something that's, very similar or same actor, same director, just something to like, get you. I love that stuff too. That's the reason why I do that. It's because I love it. Like they say, do what you love. And if you like it, I'm sure a lot of other people like it also.
Yeah. For me, I'm 41 years old. So like all of those, almost every clip you're playing is bringing me back to childhood or my teenage years. So it's been a lot of fun for that. The second is, how many times have you almost lost it when you hear what Benny thinks about a movie?
I mean, it's like, if you get stung by a bee once a day, it doesn't really hurt as much anymore. You just kind of get used to it. So I always expect the unexpected. Usually what I think he's going to think, it's usually the opposite. So I just prepare myself. He's somebody, but that's, the reason why I thought he was so good for the show was because I've done podcasts before where I'm like, I pretty much know, I know the people so well that I feel like I know what they're going to come with. But with him, it's always a surprise. And even, Moose, sometimes I'm surprised what he likes and doesn't like.
Yeah, Moose and I do have a tendency to agree. So, like, he always leads off your show, and I'm usually, like, on page with him. But Benny, at the time, I'm like, what is he going to say? What is he going to say?
Something just clicked with me. With Benny in movies that never realized this. That scene in Dogma at the beginning where he's talking to the nun about the Wizard of Oz and convincing her to like leave her faith. That is Benny with every movie. When you get his statistical analysis, that is every movie with Benny somehow is that level of depth. I love that scene because Affleck's like, for a fact there's a God, and yet you're over here convincing them. Yeah, it's just great. Entire movie. God, I love Dogma. Oh, they just
that's something I can bring up. Supposedly he's making another Jay and Silent Bob movie. I'm like, I'm all for you making something else in the universe, but like of all the movies, the Jay and Bob ones are the ones that have hit me the least.
Yeah, they're more just cartoon comedies. Like they're not trying to really get too deep. Although I guess you could say Jay and Silent Bob, the last one, try to add a little more heart in there, but. Yeah, Kevin Smith. I thought Clerks 3 was actually better than I expected because I was pretty disappointed with that last Jay and Silent Bob film because I love the original. I think it's just hilarious. Speaking of Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, the Good Will Hunting tune scene is like an all-time great scene.
That's legendary.
Applesauce, bitch. That's the best.
And they got like the cast from Good Will Hunting.
I know, and Gus Van Sant counting his money. Yeah, Kevin Smith kind of went this route where he's kind of self-financing his movies. He takes them on road shows, and I'm glad he has that freedom. But you could definitely tell they're made not in the studio system. They don't have the money that like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back had, or Dogma, or some of these other films. I'm more interested in Mallrats 2, which I thought he filmed, didn't he? Like I keep hearing he was like directing it.
They signed everybody on. And it looked like it was going to happen. I think there's some sort of holdup because Universal owns the rights to it.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense.
So like that and Dogma are the two that he has the most difficulty with because he doesn't own the properties. I think it's probably a gray area with Chasing Amy because that was Miramax. So that's an iffy one. But like Dogma, he can't do anything with Dogma.
Yeah,
you can't even find it on. I know it's on YouTube, but he can't put it on any streaming services. Can't put the movie back out on physical.
It's a damn shame.
Yep. Just Miramax. Gotta love Miramax.
The last thing, like before we really, you mentioned it before, and it jogged my memory. Did you see that Andrew WK and Kat Dennings got married?
Well, I remember when they got engaged. I remember when they started dating. Yeah, I'm a big NGWK fan, so
I love Andrew WK.
I follow him on Instagram. I'm always Googling him because I'm looking for new albums to come out. So yeah, I love his music videos. So yeah, I love NGWK. Big fan over here.
So he was at a music festival I went to. I guess it was like 6 or 7 years ago, and he was on like the smaller stage, but he was the last person on the smaller stage. And when he went to play Party Hard, he did a 95-second countdown into it. So by the time you got down to like 15, the crowd is like jumping up and down,
losing
and
it.
ready for it. And then as soon as 3, 2, 1, when it's time to party, we will party hard. The whole place just exploded. It was amazing.
It's a one-man show. Like, you don't need much. Give him some lights, a piano, some guitars, and he brings the energy, which I love. That's what I love about him. I love his energy.
That's quite possibly. I've seen a lot of musicians in my day. That's top 3 most energetic musician I've ever seen.
100%. Yeah, his music videos are the same way. I love his music videos because the energy is just off the charts.
There was a station. It was a digital station that came out in the early 2000s. That was like an MTV rock station. They just played music videos, and they played Party Hard like every 20 minutes. I saw that music video so many damn times. It was on the same like kind of thing that Nickelodeon Gas was, and whatever the station that preceded that also showed Daria all day. And, I saw that music video so many times, not having any clue who this guy was, because that was how he emerged.
Yeah.
And, that's one of those guys. It's just, if you another great recommendation. If you on YouTube, go and find Andrew WK and Odorous Sarungus from Gwar sing Tiny Dancer, sort of, is what the title is. It's the two of them covering Elton John, and Odorous just makes up the most ridiculous lyrics, and Andrew WK is trying to keep a straight face the whole time. It's a great watch.
Say no more. I will check it out after the show, 100%.
So let's go on to our topic tonight, which we were going to talk about, Christmas action movies, which have become more common lately.
Yeah. Okay, so the stuff like the David Harbour stuff, like where it's like a Christmas action movie, I like it, but we need like action movies that happen to be Christmas movies, not the other way around. Or you know what I'm saying? Like Die Hard. We've seen Die Hard. This movie Die Hard.
Only like 500 times.
Have you guys seen Silent Night, the newest one?
Yeah, that's the David Harbour one, right?
No, that's Violent Night. The Silent Night is a new John Woo film.
Yeah, okay. I haven't. That's like Joel Kinnaman, and like there's no dialogue, right?
Yeah, and that, while it is a Christmas movie, it's not like Violent Night where it relies on the Christmas. It's closer to, I think, what you're looking for, which is a action movie that happens to be around Christmas.
Yeah, because that's just something they don't do anymore. I don't know. It hasn't been a concept lately.
Well, I feel like the marketing aspect for, like, if you're comparing the two of them, Violent versus Silent, Violent Night was put out specifically to be a Christmas movie. Silent Night, I think, is exactly what you were, referring to. Again, I've not yet seen it, but Violent Night, though, to me, was movies I'm going to be talking about later on. If you take Die Hard and you take Home Alone and put them into a blender, you wound up with Violent Night. Maybe a little bit of Bad Santa.
And the Santa Claus, more like.
Yeah. And yeah. But Violent Night last year was one of like the more fun movies, one of the more fun experiences I had in the theater. And some of the gore in that is actually pretty intense, but it's done in such an over-the-top comical way that it's not like cringy gore. I guess it's the best way to put it. It's not like you're watching Terrifier or something like that.
I mean, it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's literally the premise, and they're playing into the premise. Whereas movies like Die Hard, or I would argue Lethal Weapon,
yes, I'm choosing that too,
are great action films that just happen to take place around Christmas. And I love those movies. And, it wasn't until I was older that I started thinking of them as Christmas movies also. But Violent Night is just so over the top, like Christmas. Like, that's literally what it's made for. Movies like Krampus, which is like a Christmas horror movie. But in Gremlins, Joe Dante's Gremlins, another one that's very much a horror, really leans into the Christmas aspect of it. Whereas I feel like Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, it's a backdrop, but it's not front and center.
It's part of it. Yeah.
Like for the front and center one, kind of like the Die Hard Gremlins equivalent from Violent Night. Let's put this together. I just want to mention It's a Wonderful Knife.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my god, it's such a batshit experience. Justin Long is just having the time of his life.
I heard he's great in that. Yeah.
Justin Long has been having the time of his life for like the past 3 or 4 years. Like everything that dude has been in has been weird and wild, and he is just there with a big grin on his face.
Yeah, he's great in Barbarian.
I love Barbarian. That was one of my favorite movies last year as well.
100%. Yeah.
That's just another one.
Reveal.
Yeah, the Barbarian. I'm so happy I went and saw in a theater with a sold out crowd, actually. Because that just everybody reacting to what happened. Because how in your right mind, if you didn't get spoiled ahead of time, would you have predicted anything that happened in that movie?
Not at all. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna see him. Then somebody said Justin Long's great in it, and I was like, half hour in, it's like, I wonder when Justin Long shows up. And then like they did the twist and the reveals. Oh, great job, everybody.
Smokes and shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah. Die Hard's like one of my favorite movies of all time. It's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. It's in my top 5 most seen movies of all time. I'd probably say.
You're a 4-year-old man. You're fitting the bill.
Yeah.
If you're anywhere around our age and you like movies, Die Hard is one of your favorite movies. It's science.
Yeah, and the thing with Die Hard, I was not old enough to see it in theaters. I didn't see Die Hard till I was probably, I don't know, maybe like 13 or so.
Yeah, same. So I was a kid.
Yeah, probably the first time I saw it. And I did see With a Vengeance in theaters.
Same. So did I.
So, yeah. But, and then I saw the fourth one. I don't remember the fourth and fifth. A Good Day, too, or whatever they were. They don't exist.
You know what I would say this, and I'm not the only one to say this. I think Mike Kalinowski also tweeted this out, and I agree with him. I do think everyone's like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? The second one feels more like a Christmas movie to me than the first movie. Now I will say this: Die Hard 1 is obviously the better movie. I mean, I still really enjoy Die Hard 2, and I love Die Hard 3. But when I watch Die Hard 2, the snow, the airport, the Christmas traffic. It feels more like a Christmas movie for me than it does. The first one definitely takes place around Christmas, but I think the second one just has more of that Christmas vibe.
See, I lived in Northern Virginia for 15 years, and the Dulles Airport is where that's what's heavily featured in the movie. And I'm like, that traffic, that is accurate.
Yeah.
Where that is 100% believable that they filmed it there.
Awesome.
But so Die Hard, though, yes, the discourse, it's all tongue in cheek. Is it a Christmas movie? Who cares? If you think it is, awesome. If you don't think it is, that's fine too.
That's self-determination, Just like, why do we care? It's like the guy who's going at war with Santa for Christmas, like the evangelical guy who's just like dressing up as a Grinch and writing poems about Santa's dead. Like, it's like, dude, don't just go do your own thing. Get out of other people's homes. Let people enjoy Die Hard or don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I've ever met anybody who's watched Die Hard and hasn't gotten some level of enjoyment out of it. But the Christmas debate obviously is whatever at this point. But the other one I mentioned, and for I know JT, you and I being around the same age, Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Have to be in this category, you think, because both of them, the last 15, 20 minutes of those movies, I mean, it's cartoon action, but they are action movies.
Yeah, that's funny. I never thought of them like that. It's because to me, like, I just rewatched Home Alone 2 about 2 nights ago. And I guess you can say, but it's such in a Looney Tunes kind of way.
Yes.
Like, it's basically Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, except for there's 2 coyotes. Because half the things that he does, these people would kill him in real life.
Marv is the most indestructible human who's ever existed on film.
He threw like 4 bricks straight up on his head from like a 10-story building. So I don't really think of them as action. They're more comedy than anything, and because that Looney Tune-esque action makes it just fall squarely in the comedy section for me.
But again, like, this is amazing to think with those movies. You know, when they came out in the early 90s, it was considered completely acceptable for kids to go to the theaters and go see this movie. And now that's the kind of thing like, oh my God, parents are like, you cannot watch that movie because of all of the insane
Really? You think so?
I've seen people.
Wow, I didn't know that. I never heard of that. Like, because I feel like because the violence is so heightened and like cartoony, I never thought parents would really have an issue. I wonder if there was an issue when it first came out at all.
That's a good question.
There wasn't in my house because like I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I was like 3 and 4 years old watching Home Alone, but my brother, like, for his daughters is probably like 7 or 8 before, so it's kind of like a PG, like an actual guidance situation. It's like maybe
Home Alone had a really weird distinction for me. That was one of the first times I ever, that at least that I remember. I don't recall this ever happening before, but I went to a movie theater and couldn't go in because it was sold out. You know, this is before Movie Phone or buying online. We got there and it's like the next 2 showtimes of Home Alone are already sold out. And we had to like go get lunch or something and come back. That movie was in theaters for an asinine amount of time.
Well, yeah, in the 90s, movies would be like, I think Titanic was in theaters for like a year. It was almost over a year.
Over a year.
And back then you had to wait a year or plus just to get a VHS. So I remember when Independence Day came out, it was maybe over a year until the VHS. And when that VHS hit, it was like, I could not wait to get my hands on it so I could take it home and watch it at home. But yeah, it's so crazy how quick movies go in and out of theaters. And now, the Blu-ray's out within 3 months. It's crazy.
The Holdovers, which is also a Christmas movie, like,
great movie.
Loved that movie. Absolutely loved it. But it was on digital like 2.5 weeks after it went wide.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And if you have not seen The Holdovers, go see The Holdovers because it's a wonderful film.
Yeah, we just reviewed it on our episode of Extra Movie Bar this week. We all loved it.
Yeah. We're all big Paul Giamatti fans on this show, so for me that made it extra special. I'm definitely pulling for him award season. I know he's not the favorite to win everything, but he's got my vote.
I think he has my vote too. I don't know who the favorite is. Maybe Cillian Murphy. Maybe I don't know. Or would you say Cillian?
I haven't seen all of them yet, but of what I've seen, I think Cillian, RDJ. Divine.
Well, that's RDJ supporting.
Yeah, right. Supporting for a supporting actress is Divine from The Holdovers, who was phenomenal.
Yep.
And the best actress is the one that I really don't know who the front runner is.
I think it's Lily Gladstone.
Oh, from Killers. Yes, I think you're right.
And I do think Carey Mulligan and Emma Stone are probably the other two that I would keep an eye on. Because they both give credit. I saw Maestro and Poor Things this past weekend, and they both. You
saw Maestro with Spielberg, right?
Yeah, Spielberg and Cooper.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Cooper did the Q&A, and Spielberg kind of hosted it. It was pretty crazy.
Was Spielberg involved with that as a producer or something? Or
he was originally going to direct it, and then Scorsese produced it also. And I think apparently he screened Stars Born for Spielberg before it was released. And Spielberg said, "You should direct Maestro. Take it off my hands."
Interesting.
He was so impressed with Stars Born.
I learned something tonight.
There you go.
Yeah.
But so going back, you mentioned Lethal Weapon before, and that was something that I hadn't thought about in a while. But as I was kind of picking my brain for movies that fit in this category, I'm like, oh shit, Lethal Weapon totally fits that category.
Yeah, it opens with Jingle Bell Rock. The girl jumps off the building. The last fight scene where Mr. Joshua, Gary Busey, he literally smashes his car through the living room where the Christmas tree and all the presents are, and starts shooting up the house. And then there's that final fight where Mel Gibson's like, "You want to shot the title?" And Gary Busey's like, "Don't mind if I do." And then it just ends with a fight in front of the house with a fire hydrant going off. It's an action classic, and it has a lot of Christmas stuff in there.
That's
the first scene. Mel Gibson's buying fake. He's doing a sting operation where they're selling Christmas trees, and he's trying to do a Coke deal. So Christmas is all over the place in that movie, man.
Yeah, including the snow.
Yeah,
What?
the cocaine, because it is in LA, so there's not a lot of stuff out here.
That's what I have not watched any of the Lethal Weapon movies probably in 25 years.
What are you doing, man? The first
I need to
Stone Cold classic.
Yeah, the only one of those I saw in theaters was 4, but I need to go back and watch all 4 of those. I feel like
definitely, man. Richard Donner, rest in peace, one of my favorite directors.
Yeah.
Which one? So I think most people would say 1 is their favorite. What would you say is the second best?
I would say probably 2. I think it goes in the order they released, unfortunately. Yeah. Although there is a debate for 4 being better than 3 because they introduced Jet Li to America.
Jet Li. Yep.
I saw Lethal Weapon 4 in theaters, and I remember being like, "Who the f is this guy?" Because he stole the movie. Yeah, in the final fight on the dock is pretty badass. So there is an argument for 4 being better than 3, but I'd have to give him a rewatch. Well, I love the first 2. I think the first 2 are top
3
tier.
Too much peshy. Like I felt
really, I for me the third was kind of sucked. The third one for me was the whole gang gun violence kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It was something which was really relevant in that time because I was around time Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and I felt like they were kind of taking the themes from those films and kind of injecting it into the third one. Third one has some of the most like. There's a scene where Danny Glover kills the guy and is riddled with guilt because it was his son's friend, and they really kind of go pretty dramatic at times in that movie, which I don't mind because you get that in the first 2, but it feels more of a product of its time in some ways than the other ones, I would say. The fourth one is more of a comedy than anything. And what I do appreciate about the first 3 is while they're comedic at times and they're serious, they each have a moment where it's like shit's getting real. Like the first one, when they kidnap Murtaugh's daughter, shit gets real. Second one, when they kill his girlfriend, shit gets real. Like, so I like that they have those points in those films, whereas the fourth one it never really gets there. It's just
it kind of loses the plot.
It's a summer action comedy, basically, is what it is. Chris Rock's in it too, and I don't think Chris Rock is a good actor. Like anything.
He's not a good
actor. Chris Rock too, though.
What's that?
Was that Mike?
So I was saying it was like that was like 97 or 98 that came out. So
that's
that was
early Chris Rock.
Chris Rock was like he's past Saturday Night Live and he's like about to hit through.
Yeah.
Before he made those couple of starring movies, which all tanked.
I mean, I think he's a great stand-up comedian, especially in the past. And I liked him on SNL, but I never really was a big fan of his film work. Can't really think of a Chris Rock movie that I really liked.
Like a Chris Rock star, he's great.
Starring film.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If he's a side character or something, that's fine. But anytime he was the lead, I never really enjoyed his films.
We mentioned it earlier. Like I think Dogma is probably the role I enjoyed him in the most.
There you go. Yeah, supporting actor.
So, do you have any other movies that popped into your head immediately when we said?
Well, yeah, Shane Black is kind of the king of the king of the action Christmas comedy. So, A Long Kiss Goodnight is definitely. I don't even want to say guilty pleasure because I just think it's a really fun action film that takes place around Christmas, directed by Rennie Harlan, who also directed Die Hard 2. And it stars, I think Samuel Jackson's fantastic in that movie. He's almost steals the film. But Gina Davis as the, secret agent with amnesia, and she kind of has this new life. Her past comes back to haunt her. I think that's just a really fun action movie that takes place around Christmas. And there's a scene where she's on ice skates and she's chasing down a car. She shoots the tires out. Like, yeah, Shane Black just knows how to write a good Christmas action movie. And I think Long Kiss Goodnight is like really underappreciated. I mean, people who know it love it.
Right.
And I feel like it's one of those movies I always try to be like, hey, if you're a 90s action person and you haven't seen Long Kiss Goodnight, do yourself a favor. Check it out.
Yeah, and then you mentioned that, and it just re-popped into my head. And now that you're talking about Iron Man 3 is technically a Christmas action movie.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, directed by
Yeah.
Shane
Bang
Black.
Bang.
He likes it. I don't know why. He just loves those Christmas action movies. He puts all his movies around Christmas time.
I still don't think that Iron Man 3 deserves all the hate that it gets. I had a lot of fun with that one. I just skipped it because I'd heard bad things about it for years, and then I caught it like when I was in a hotel room.
What I always say about it was when I saw Iron Man 3, I said it's a good Shane Black movie. I just don't think it's a very good MCU movie. He made, which there has to be some compromise. I think if you watch it, it doesn't make any sense in the order of the MCU. Like he blows up all his suits at the end of the movie, and then next time you see him, he's back as Iron Man.
Back as Iron Man.
And he loses. It does the thing what a lot of superhero movies do, is where they take the powers away. They basically take his suit away for a majority of the film. But at the end of the day, it's not a bad movie. It's a good Shane Black movie. I just don't think it's a great or very good MCU movie.
Yeah,
and I think you got to balance them a little bit more.
When they did that in Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it's just like, oh, your suit's not working for the entire movie. Okay, it's malfunctioning. We're doing this again.
Well, when you're this many movies in, unfortunately, like it's tough to not recycle ideas. We're at the point where almost any of the origin movies with them, I don't know the exact plot, but I can tell you the structure of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they did the same thing in the first Thor film. He loses his powers after the first half an hour, and I don't mind doing that. Maybe like when you get to Spider-Man 2, but when you do it in the first film, I'm like, come on, man. I'm here to see Thor. Let me see Thor.
Circling back, the Guardians Christmas special. I think I'm going to watch that again right
It's
after.
fantastic. It was fantastic.
That was fun.
That was the first, I love the reaction of this is really the first time that people are interacting with the Guardians, and oh
Kevin
my
Bacon.
God, let's go and kidnap Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Just imagine that entire special through the eyes of Kevin Bacon. It's a horror movie.
And great. Yeah. It's got great music too.
Oh yeah. Always with the Guardian stuff. But yeah, that was
Dave Bautista's underrated with his leading abilities. I think even he's had a couple of movies where he's been a lead, and none of them have been spectacular, but he's not the problem in these movies. He really got to stretch his wings in that holiday special, and Palm did too. But I think this was at the point that he was like, I don't want to be doing Drax with my shirt off the whole time. That he was there. That was a perfect avenue for those two characters. They did that so well, and they just fit the vibe of doing a holiday special with two, very tongue-in-cheek kind of characters who are on this mission, and it's a really absurd mission, and it's to get Kevin Bacon of all people. And Kevin Bacon looked like he just dove headfirst into the project and said, "I'm fully in." So I
just realized the first thing that he did after that was another absurd mission. It was called The Knock at the Cabin.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't. I've never watched it. I've heard such mixed things about Knock at the Cabin. Some people I've never heard someone say they loved it, but I have heard some people say they hated it.
It is fine. And me and Shyamalan, I love the bad stuff. I love the good stuff. It's fine. Did you see it?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I went to some special screening here in Santa Monica, I think a week or two before it came out. And it's like most Shyamalan films, especially recent. I love the premise. I love the setup. I just don't always love the outcome or some of the journey to get to the outcome. Yeah, I agree though. It's fine. It's not bad.
His first 2 or 3 movies, everybody's waiting because of what happened in The Sixth Sense. Everybody's like, "Oh, how's this ending going to be?" And he hasn't gotten past that. It doesn't have to be a twist. You can,
He
you
tried
just enjoy
movies.
A beat that makes you old.
I mean, when he did movies without twists, you ended up with After Earth and Last Airbender. So he's like, I guess I do need that. He went right back to it.
Okay, Last Airbender. Here's how you hear me out on this one. Here's how you enjoy it. You put on black and white, mute the movie, put on any Wu-Tang album.
Okay,
you will have a great time.
Interesting. I like that.
I've done that for multiple social gatherings.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like an interesting one. I was gonna circle back to Iron Man 3 real quick though. That's one of those movies that I don't really have a strong opinion either way. Like I didn't like hate it. You know, it's not like the bottom. Like if I'm ranking all the Marvel movies, it's not like at the very bottom, but it's not even close to the top either. But I feel like I could turn that on right now and enjoy the watch with that, you know, without any context or just all right. This is an easy watch. Iron Man 2 is not a good movie either, but I feel like I could do the same thing with it.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. is so good as that character. Just spending time with him is enjoyable at the most basic level. And Shane Black, you know, he had a big budget in that movie, and there's some impressive scenes, and it's a well-made movie. I think it's a good Shane Black movie. Like I said, I just don't think it's a great MCU movie. So,
in the grand scheme of the MCU, it's actually one of the more forgettable ones.
Well, yeah, because like I said, you could basically not watch it. It doesn't really affect anything from the overall arc. Like he literally blows up all the suits at the end, and then we see him in Age of Ultron, and he's back to being Iron Man. So the only thing that carried over is that he got his chest fixed.
He got his chest fixed, and Trevor Slattery when they got the Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
that's really it.
5.5 years later.
And he was so much more like I didn't love the twist in Iron Man 3, but the way they came back to it in Shang-Chi, I loved.
He was so fun in that movie. Yeah. I don't think anybody liked the twist in that Iron Man 3 because I remember the trailers for that movie and it was like, you'll never see me coming. I was ready for Ben Kingsley, an Oscar-winning actor, to really, you know, become a new big baddie in the MCU. And when they pulled the rug from under you, it was like, oh man. Yeah. I actually, because when I saw the trailers, I was like, he looks menacing. Like he's gonna be scary. Like I'm actually pretty excited to see what Ben Kingsley could do with this role. And then when that happened, I mean, I love Guy Pearce too, but it was an uphill battle after that.
Yeah, that was one too. That was they were still doing midnight movies at that point. It wasn't like where. You know, now it's like 3 p.m. they come out on Thursdays, but it was, you know, we had to wait till midnight to go see that one. And I just remember being like, oh, I just stayed up this late for that. Like, you know, which was a bit disappointing. But the other one that I was going to say, like, again, I'm kind of using the term action loosely, but the Lego Star Wars holiday special actually was a lot of fun too. You know, it's Star Wars, so you know, I don't know if you want to consider that action.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't seen those, so I couldn't really tell you.
It's fun, adorable. You know, again, you turn your brain off, go in, have some fun. You know, it's exactly if you've seen the Lego movies, it's that just with the Star Wars characters, and I mean, you can tell they had a ton of fun with that, and they made it Christmas themed, so you know, it fits in.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember when it first came out and all the pomp and pageantry about finally a good Star Wars holiday special.
Was that released on Disney Plus or where was it released? Disney Plus?
It's on Disney Plus, yeah.
Okay.
Now, the original Star Wars holiday special. Have you ever actually watched it start to finish?
Yeah, back in the day. It's been a long time, but yeah, back in the day, you'd be able to go to like Comic Cons and they would have like, you know, DVD rips and stuff like that. Now you can just go on YouTube, but
it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day, you had to actually seek it out.
Directed by Andy Warhol.
Yeah. And they would like that DVD. If you went to a Comic-Con, like back then was like $50, which what would that be equivalent to like now? You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, what would be equivalent to like $100 for a DVD these days, which is
same thing. They did the same thing with the Fantastic Four Roger Corman film, but you couldn't find anywhere unless you went to some Comic-Con. And the same deal, it'd be like $50 for a copy.
You want a funny story about that? PJ Campbell, I get in the mail one day. I get an envelope just out of the blue, and it says, open this or else. And I'm like, what is going on? And I see it's from Arizona. So I'm like putting two and two together. I'm like, it's probably, you know, we're trying to figure out who it's from. I'm like, it's got to be. And I open it up, and it's the Roger Corman Fantastic Four.
Wow.
He got like a high res copy or something, and he's like, who'd be a funny person to send this to as a joke? So he sent it to me.
Nice.
Did you ever watch it?
Very unexpected. I still have it. I need to.
Wow. I would have watched it immediately.
Yeah, you need to double feature that with like the last the terrible season of Arrested Development on Netflix.
That's not even fun. That's not even fun.
I tried watching that again, like maybe 6 months ago. The 4th season is borderline watchable. The 5th one is not.
Yeah, they're bad.
The 4th one was interesting at first when it first came out because you were taking the layers off with each episode and learning something more about each scene. But as a whole, I'm like, I don't want to rewatch this. Whereas the first 3 seasons, I'll go watch any episode any day.
Yeah, because they're more episodic.
Yeah.
Whereas he made the Netflix ones be binged.
Yeah.
Aren't the Netflix ones like twice as long too?
Yeah.
Am I imagining?
They're like 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, the 4th season is the 5th season. I think was closer to 30, but they stretched the 5th season because they didn't have everybody there. Like Portia de Rossi wasn't with them at all in the 5th season, so like they had to limitations on them with that. I was just going to say something about that. This Arrested Development. Speaking of Christmas, I can never hear Charlie Brown Christmas and not think of the sad walk anymore. That's no longer Charlie Brown's. That's the sad walk, and especially Tobias when somebody took his hard-boiled eggs, which is the funniest one of all the sad walks. All right, so. Kind of moving in that direction, though. I mentioned Charlie Brown. JT, what's your favorite holiday, like Christmas special? Like of all the traditional Christmas specials, which one would be your go-to?
That's a good question. I've been watching a lot of them lately. I'd probably say the South Park episode called Red Sleigh Down, which was a remake of Black Hawk Down, where Santa basically gets tortured. Which the scene is basically a complete homage to Three Kings, the Mark Wahlberg torture scene. And the kids have to go to find Jesus, and Jesus basically goes in there Rambo style. He's like, we're gonna get Chris Miracle, and he opens the cabinet and it's all machine guns. And I think that's like one of my favorite Christmas specials. Red Sleigh Down.
The South Park Santa voice too is just
so
just buttery and like just sweet, and then they just completely do the most wrong stuff. It's so great.
Isn't it crazy that South Park and The Simpsons both have their like pilot? Well, South Park's never aired, but like the fabled, the one that George Clooney had, it's Christmas specials that they both started with. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I'm sure it was probably on purpose. Like they probably were huge fans of Simpsons, and they were like, "Let's do a little Simpson thing." Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Simpsons have quite a few Christmas specials. Obviously, the pilot, but the infamous Bone Storm episode is a Christmas
Bone
special.
Storm. Yeah, that's a great
Buy me Bone Storm or go to hell.
Yeah, that's where he shoplifts. Yeah, that's a good one.
It also has the Millhouse playing Bone Storm. This is great, and I've only put in my name, Thrill House.
Yeah. Yep.
I have been so tempted to get that tattooed. My wife is like, "Don't you dare get that." I have a bunch of Simpsons tattoos, and I've wanted to add that. I have a whole leg full of Simpsons tattoos.
Oh, nice.
And I've wanted to add the TV with Welcome Thrill Ho. She's like, "You don't have a single tattoo that is on me, but you want to get Welcome Thrill Ho tattooed on you."
Oh, I still think you need the one of Billie Eilish being Lisa Simpson's best friend.
What the
AJ and I always make a silly bet with our fantasy football league. And next year, this is the upcoming season. I have agreed if I lose, I will add Poochie to my leg.
Yes.
Wow. I'll say this, like I am a diehard Simpsons fan, but from season 1 to about season 9. After that, they're pretty much dead to me.
I own the DVDs through season 10. I will watch certain episodes in 11 or 12. 13 is my cutoff, except for a couple of the Halloween specials.
Totally understand. Yeah, I think 9's not bad. I don't remember. I remember just that was my cutoff. 9, I could stomach a few episodes of 9, but the writers changed.
Yep.
It just wasn't the same show that I grew up with. The writing was so great.
9 has Mojo the Monkey, which is one of my favorite episodes.
Yes, pray for Mojo.
That's one of my tattoos.
Nice. Pray for Mojo.
I have Mojo on my leg.
Nice. Pray for Mojo. Oh, yeah, Japanese, the Japanese home runners.
Mr. Sparkle, yeah.
Mr. Sparkle.
I have Kodos, I have Hank Scorpio, I have the Space Coyote. Like I've got a lot of fun ones.
The Hank Scorpio episode might be like top 10
number one
all time.
It's number one.
Yeah.
That is my favorite episode of The Simpsons. Period.
Albert Brooks, man, it's so good.
And I'm almost glad he was supposed to be the villain in the movie, and they decided against it. I'm almost glad they did.
Oh, but it was Albert Brooks.
Yeah, it's still Albert Brooks, but they changed the character.
Got it.
But
okay.
Originally, the idea was that it was going to be Hank Scorpio in that role. I'm like, I'm almost glad they didn't, because that Hank Scorpio episode is so perfect. Just leave it alone. Like, it's one of those things, like in a lot of movies, you don't need a sequel. You hit perfection. Leave it be. William Harold. Yeah, that's also the end of this episode, which is so good. We're home to what's okay.
And now they're owned by Walmart. So we kind of predicted it. It's close enough.
Speaking of Christmas action films, I think Batman Returns has to be mentioned.
Oh shit! How did we forget that?
Yeah, great Christmas movie. Has the Tim Burton Christmas vibe going throughout.
That is the most Tim Burton of Tim Burton, of the two, obviously, but like that's way up there in Tim Burton being Tim Burton movies.
Yeah, and it's just got the Christmas vibe is present throughout the whole movie. So that's definitely up there.
And Christopher Walken as Shrek is just, that was one of, I think probably as a kid, that might have been my introduction to him. That I'm relatively certain when it came out, that probably was the first thing. Obviously, I've grown to love him a ton.
Yeah.
That was probably the first thing I saw him in. Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, absolutely legendary, like iconic.
Turned me into a man. I just remember seeing that movie for my birthday. I invited like a handful of friends. We went to an arcade, spent like 2 hours at the arcade. Then we all went and saw Batman Returns, and that was my birthday party. It was awesome.
That sounds like an amazing birthday party.
It was. I remember we played Turtles in Time at the arcade, and we beat it, and that was like our goal. That was our mission before we went and saw Batman Returns.
I went to
beat it in the arcade.
Yeah, because like I had a bucket of quarters. Like we went there ready to go.
Spam the respawn. Okay.
I went to a barcade with my buddy in DC a couple of years back, and they had both Turtles in Time and The Simpsons, and we dropped
classics.
We dropped like $25, but we beat them both eventually.
Nice. It's worth it, man.
Oh, but yeah, actually, I had so my ex fiance, when I was like, we started dating when I was.
There's a whole story there, which I will not.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
You don't hear that very often.
When I was a freshman in college, and she was a senior in high school, but she was a cosplayer, and she wanted to do a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman cosplay. Mm-hmm. So I lived in a big city. She lived in a small town. She sent me all over Omaha looking for PVC wet look vinyl in all the fabric stores. Oh, wow. Which just that's an awkward question to walk in and ask wherever. I need a couple yards of PVC wet look vinyl. You're gonna get some awkward looks at the fabric store. Just gonna tell you straight up. You're better off just telling them that you're actually gonna fight crime.
Gotcha.
I'm here for the whole last 2 minutes.
Awesome. Hey. What's going on? What's that shirt?
It's my Taylor Swift 1989 shirt in honor of her birthday today.
It's her birthday
Happy
today?
birthday, Taylor Swift.
Oh, snap. Okay, awesome.
It's a high holy day.
Good for her, man.
She is, but she's feeling 22.
Yeah, she's feeling 22 always.
What a great year for her. I mean, Time Person of the Year. I mean, I'm happy for her because like Travis Kelce really kind of put her on the map. Not a lot of people knew who she was.
That's so true.
So,
no, she really was no one. And then she started dating this football player and like
Super Bowl champion. Let's not shortchange the guy.
2 times.
Tough to get those indie artists a chance there. So
yeah.
Like Travis Kelce now though is made for life. I mean, that podcast with his brother, they don't have to do anything else for the rest of their life, and that I know that's not at all remotely why they're doing it, but they're set.
He also, he's acted a little bit. He was on that Showtime show with John C. Reilly, The Moon Show. Do you remember that show where they're all in the moon? He was an actor on that show. So I'm curious to see him act a little bit more because he can't do comedy. He was actually amazing on SNL.
SNL, he was
Yeah,
fantastic.
He was so good.
Really great. He has a good knack for comedy. That is true.
Yeah, I think he should do more comedies because he's done comedic show and he absolutely slayed SNL. So he should keep it up.
And Jason actually is. If you listen to them at all, Jason might even be funnier.
Yeah.
That's true. I saw the documentary on Amazon Prime about him, and that was really interesting to watch.
Yeah. I haven't watched it. I've seen the trailer, but I haven't watched it.
I'm amazed we have not watched that documentary because we watch a lot of sports documentaries.
Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of it. It's 50-50. Half of it deals with his home life, half deals with like football season, which they go to the Super Bowl and play his brother.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of a big one. Oh, let there be light.
I'm like, we should probably should better like that.
That's the kind of quality content I bring. I bring the good lighting.
Right in time for 5 golden rings.
Tis the season, AJ. Tis the season.
Yep. So I know JT, you're everyone knows you were a big Patriots fan. Obviously, that's gone south this year. Who do you have going to the Super Bowl this year?
It's Dallas is looking really good. Obviously, I think a lot of people forget. Really, whoever has the hot hand towards the end of the season usually rides that momentum into the playoffs. So I wouldn't be.
And they do.
The problem with Dallas is they have to go through San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That to me feels like when that game happens, that's the real Super Bowl. And whoever ends up winning that game is going to beat whoever comes out of the AFC, because I don't think the AFC has. I mean, the Eagles they're okay right now. I mean, they have some real issues, but Dallas and San Francisco seem like the two best teams in the league. And I think whoever wins that game, if they hopefully they do meet up in the playoffs, whoever wins that game is going to win the Super Bowl. Is my opinion.
It's funny how, like, before the season started, everyone's like, there's 6 powerhouses in the AFC. And, everybody looked at Philadelphia and maybe the 49ers. And now it's like, well, it's the 49ers, the Giants, and maybe the Eagles, and then the AFC.
Up until week 1, everybody thought the 49ers were dead. They didn't know what they were doing at quarterback. Like, they didn't know Brock Purdy had, recovered. It was like, is Trey Lance going to go out there? Sam Darnold.
It was Darnold at first because Lance was hurt at the beginning of the season. So it was going to be Sam Darnold potentially, which was interesting.
It was like, it was a middle of the road team.
Could this be the year that I finally win in fantasy football? Probably not. But a girl can dream.
She's got the number 2 seed.
2 seed. Gotta buy a week this week, baby.
There you go.
Here's the crazy thing that
we're falling apart though. The team is falling apart.
Bethany has a 2 seed. Jacob London has the 1 seed. And then our 4, 5, and 6 are John Mariano, Justin the Juice, Jeremiah Morris. Our 6th seed, for the second year in the row, we invited him to the league, knows nothing about football.
So he says.
Is PJ Campbell.
I'm calling baloney. I think he's a shark.
He's probably just, he probably just does whatever the app tells him to do. He doesn't look up anything. He's just like,
we don't know how smart PJ. I said it last year. Like, he's probably looking at this like a computer. He's looking at this analytically. He has no emotional investment. Doesn't have a team. We brought him in as a last-second replacement into the league because he's our buddy, and he fucking won the league last year and made the playoffs this year.
Wow, crazy.
On the other hand, I do nothing but look at it with emotional attachment, which is probably why I'm not very good.
That just shows you how unstable fantasy football is, man. Like, I can't tell you how many times a player would score 0 points for no points for a month. Then I sit him, and on the bench he scores 20. It's the most frustrating thing.
Yes. Every freaking time they know when I've benched them. It's very annoying.
She always got mad at me. It happened to me a couple of times where I'm like on Sunday morning, like, oh God, every player I have is not playing. I have to pick somebody up. And then that player I pick up off waivers at the last second scores 3 touchdowns.
I tell you, that never happens to me.
Yeah, it never happens to me either.
Yeah, there was always reverse. Calvin Johnson went down one game, and I got to grab Marvin Jones, and Marvin Jones scored 4 touchdowns. I'm like,
nice.
what just happened?
Nice.
That's the crazy part that you got to worry about with that. So like we're gonna get wrapping up shortly here. I know I mentioned we talked about the holdovers. Which ones of the big movies have you not yet seen of the awards movies?
Zone of Interest. I really want to see. That director always challenges the audience, and he's such a singular kind of vision that I really want to see that. Anatomy of a Fall is another one I really need to catch up on.
Mhm.
Saltburn is another one I need to catch up on. I know a lot of people who loved it, and I know some people who don't love it.
Mixed.
So yeah, it's mixed.
That was mixed. Yeah.
But I was a big fan of her last film. Oh God, Carey Mulligan, Promising Young Woman. I thought that was a really good film. Those are the three main ones, and I'd say the fourth one probably American Fiction.
We saw that.
Oh, you did? Nice. So once I've seen those four, I feel like I'm pretty much caught up for the most part.
I will say my only thing, like no spoilers, obviously the American Fiction. I really, really liked it. Like really liked it. But the trailer was vaguely misleading. And so I had to kind of like adapt to I was like, this is what this movie is. Okay. And then once if you go in knowing that, then you can just enjoy it from the get-go. Like the first like little bit, I was like, this is not the vibe I was getting from the trailer. Which honestly
looks like
is
a
good. Like I don't want
comedy.
the trailer to spoil. Yeah,
it looks like a straight up comedy.
It's a better movie than the trailer would lead you to believe.
Yeah,
it is.
I feel like.
Yeah, and
that's why
the more it sat with me, the more I liked it. And Jeffrey Wright is fantastic, and if he gets these best actor nominations, it's totally deserved because he's phenomenal in this movie.
Very good cast.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
We went to one of the AMC screen unsceens, and that's what it was.
I heard about that. That's what I heard.
And the funny thing is our theater, like I said, we're in Savannah. We have a small theater. They're not showing it on its actual release, so we're like, well, we lucked out.
Glad we saw it when we did.
That's crazy.
You never know what the old Savannah AMC is gonna get.
Yeah, Ferrari's the other one I definitely gonna have, but that hasn't come out yet. But definitely gotta make sure I see it. Yeah.
Well, that looks good.
Definitely gotta see that. I got tickets this Friday to see Rebel Moon in the theater, so I'm excited to see how that turns out.
That's Netflix, right?
Yeah, Netflix is releasing it on the 21st, but it's playing in some theaters here in LA.
Nice. I mean, Zack Snyder, love or hate him, he makes beautiful movies. So
and always given especially when it's a visual film like that. I if I have that option, I'm gonna seek it out and see it in the theater.
Yep, we got a moose.
Yes, Mark. Spider's Little Patriots, Jesus to go. We should have what the show crew on the Action Movie Podcast guest. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, coordinate something.
Maybe my second time on.
She beat us to the punch on that one.
That's true.
We are seeing two of us are seeing Iron Claw next week, so that one.
That's another one. I hate how they release all these movies in like the last 2 weeks of December.
Yeah.
All these ones that want the awards. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to.
I'm trying to put together. I got to put together my top 10 list of the year, and I'm like trying to make sure I see everything before I do it. You know.
Mm-hmm. We're going to see the Iron Claw the day before Christmas Eve. We're going to Florida, so going to the nice theater at Disney Springs, and but then we're immediately after that going to a musical review dinner theater. I'm like, that's going to be a weird transition, going from what we're hearing is the most depressing movie of the year.
We're going to Disney World,
and it's like a dinner theater. Is that what you said? Like in front of people. Yeah.
It's called the Hoop-de-Doo Musical Review.
It's fantastic. Wow. 10 out of 10 whatever. It's very kitschy.
Just fight the urge to like rush the stage and suplex somebody.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Either that or just like the Iron Claw, everybody could die.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
For roping. I like that.
You're a jabroni.